Welcome back to Peace, Love and Tarot. This reading is for Virgo, Sun, Moon or Rising. And Virgo, this is your weekly intuitive tarot reading for April 13th to the 19th. This week we have for you the Boundaries Oracle card, and we have the Atman Yogic Oracle card behind that. We have the Five of Cups, the Star, the Page of Swords, the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands, and the Four of Wands here. So we can see that you've been through an ending, something on the home front, something to do with, monetary resources, maybe your work. Obviously, many of us are in that situation at the moment, guys. But really, this is out of our control for most of us. And we really need to, not sort of stay attached to any of those kind of disappointments, the despair, the sadness of those situations. We must stay positive and we must focus on the new opportunities that will inevitably come through for you. We can see that we've got the beautiful Four of Wands here, that in the near future, you will move into a time of greater stability. You will be celebrating in the future, and maybe celebrating something far greater than what you had, because we can see a sense of maybe stress associated with that past situation. So before we go to the tarot, let's have a look at the oracle cards. And so we've got the Boundaries Oracle card here. We also have the Atman Yogic Path card here. Now, this card here really is about you at the moment establishing a deeper sense of spirituality within yourself, a deeper sense of spiritual connection, and maybe actually being able to tune into your intuitive centers, your higher self, your wisdom, more so than perhaps you could in the past. And I really feel that that shift is taking place for many of us, because a lot of us have actually taken the time by the forced hand to be still, to retreat, to be in self-isolation at home. And we're not rushing around and distracting ourselves like we usually did. So it's through that stillness, through that silence, that inner wisdom starts speaking through. And you might be starting to feel, more of a spiritual connection, actually getting some downloads, or being able to hear, what your soul really wants after a time where maybe you've been quite disconnected from that. So that's what I'm seeing in that oracle card there, guys. And the boundaries card here, it's asking you, where do you need to establish better boundaries in your life? Maybe the situation that's coming to an end for you was a situation where you were under-boundaried, and maybe it's time for you to really look at that now and to, really decide what you want for your future moving forward and go for that. And to not say, yes to things that you don't want to. This is about you getting clear and aligned now. So I will just read out the first part of that one before we go to the tarot cards, guys. You've been called to create clearer boundaries in your life. This could be with your friends, family, or work. Saying yes when you really mean no leads to resentment, which is the biggest energy drain ever. At first, it might only be a little bit and not feel like a big deal, but before you know it, your energy field becomes porous and you're left feeling depleted, resentful, or taken advantage of. Saying no and having clear boundaries is actually a spiritual act. The most giving, loving, compassionate people are those with the clearest boundaries. For when they say yes, they are able to give unconditionally. When your boundaries are clear, others know where they stand, and you are able to give freely. If you are not clear where your boundaries lie, this causes confusion, resentment, and energetic cords to be planted. Yeah, so this is really about you now being really firm. If there has been a completion as well, being really firm in that, moving on. Removing those energetic cords so that you can create space for new things to come in. So I want to start here in the recent past, although some of you may still be going through it at the moment. Here is that ending. We've got that Ten of Pentacles here. 10 obviously is a number of completion in the tarot. We have double tens here. So I'm really seeing that this is a completion, either on the home front. Some of you may have had to move out of a home. For some of you, it could be a sense of stability or security that is leaving your life. That could be, in a partnership as well. But for many of you, I feel like this is in your work realm. Potentially, you may have lost your job or had a big reduction in your income due to the circumstances that we all find ourselves in at the moment. Now, we see with the Ten of Wands here that Potentially you're either been carrying some stress about that situation now, about that ending, or the situation that has come to an end may have been something that was, you know, too much responsibility for you, maybe was quite a heavy weight, maybe you felt a little bit burdened by it. So, you know, you can see here in the Ten of Wands that person carrying that heavy load, you know, really weighing them down. And it's like this person has to be on autopilot because they can't really see their way out. This situation is taking up so much time and energy, resources, that this person couldn't see if there were other pathways to go, or, you know, really can't see the forest for the trees, is what I'm feeling. And maybe some of you ended up in that situation with a job that was really, really intense, maybe a really high workload because of boundary issues, because of not being able to push back, maybe fear of not getting that promotion or rocking the boat, that sort of energy. So essentially, you know, maybe it's a good thing that this has come to an end if it is a work situation for you. You know, same could be said if it's a relationship. Maybe you had to carry the load, the childcare, you know, looking after the house, all of these kinds of things. But it's time for you to release that load now and to, you know, really look at healing yourself, because, you know, Ten of Wands and Ten of Swords endings can be, they can be fatiguing, or some of you might be going through, you know, adrenal fatigue or tiredness or that kind of thing. So we have the ending that's playing out. I do feel like it's a blessing in disguise. And we really need to see that it is a blessing rather than staying connected to it. So the Five of Cups shows somebody who is still connecting and carrying energetic swords, maybe conflict, but cords to the past. So this person's really fixated on what's been lost, you know, the disappointment of the situation, the expectation that wasn't met, you know, the grief, the sorrow, the sadness. But the past is the past, and that wine that's come out of those cups here is already soaked into the earth, and there's no way to get it back in. So, you know, I always say when I see this card that the past is the present. Sorry, the thief of the present. I really can't talk today. So in saying that, well, while this person is really fixated on these cups here, they're not seeing the two new cups of opportunity that are right behind them. So it's really time to shake off that coat of negativity and to turn into, you know, the true north, to face the other direction, to recognize the opportunities that do lie there. Now, this is a number 5 in the tarot, and 5 is the number of conflict, but it's also the number of change. So I always say when I see this card as well that change is the antidote to conflict. So we need to change something in order to call in that new energy. And again, you know, we see this bridge over the emotional waters here, because water represents the emotions in tarot. Back to the sanctuary. This is about you, you know, the Atman oracle card, Atman, coming back to the portal of the heart, coming back to your truth, reconnecting with yourself, disconnecting from the past, and becoming integrated, healing, becoming whole again. And that's when you're in a really good place to receive new opportunities. And that's what the star helps you to do, because the star is a card of healing, renewal, rebalancing your energy. You know, the star shows somebody who maybe is feeling quite vulnerable after going through a loss. The star follows the Tower in the Major Arcana, so it's the calm after your storm. I mean, this ending for a lot of you could have been a Tower moment, could have been a great sudden change. You know, we didn't know this coronavirus thing was going to happen. You know, a month ago, life looked very different for a lot of us. It is a Tower moment on a global scale, which is affecting us on an individual scale. So, you know, sudden change that is quite dramatic and chaotic for some of us. Some of our lives have turned completely upside down and look so different to what they did a month ago. So the star says that, you know, this is the calm after the storm. This is about you taking the time to rebalance yourself. Even though you might be feeling quite vulnerable, you might have actually lost something that was a really big part of your identity. You know, that job that you spent 40 hours a week at, where you knew, I have this label, I have this role, I am of this service to people, and maybe now you've been stripped of that. So there could be questions around, well, who am I now? What is my purpose in life? What is my calling? You know, and that Atman energy is going to help you connect and find those answers within you. The star is also the divine wish fulfillment card, so it's really time to set new intentions, new manifestations of what you want in your life, because the energetic conditions are so that you have the ability to draw that to you at the moment. So I do love the star energy. There's a big sense of renewal and rebirth with this card. For some of you, this really is going to be a rebirth. You're going to rise like the phoenix out of those tower ashes into a whole new chapter of your life that could look completely different. And it wouldn't have come about if we hadn't been facing this tough time that we're all facing at the moment. And it won't be long before things start to shift for you, Virgo. Here we have the Page of Swords and the Four of Wands. So the Page of Swords is really the beginnings of progress. It's the wind of change. It's the moment that you turn around and release the past and go, you know what, now I'm only connecting with the future, and I am a receptacle for the good things and the universal gifts that want to come in for me. It could also be a younger air sign, potentially a child even, that is influential in helping you make that shift. So that could be a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or somebody that just has those kind of qualities as well. But if it's not a person, it just stands for the change of that energy and starting to make progress in a new direction. And this new direction is taking you to a newfound sense of stability and security. You may have lost a sense of that, but here we're moving into a different chapter and a far more celebrated sense of security. This can be in the near future finding a new life partner, or being back in a position where you're really celebrating life again, free and happy and abundant. The four wands here are said to represent the four sides of a square, a very stable and solid structure. They also represent the 11-11 formation, so it could be that some kind of synchronistic event happens that brings about this change, this new chapter for you. That maybe brings in what you've truly been wishing for, but there was that tower in the way that even though you might have thought, I had everything in my life that I needed and wanted, was it the perfect fit for you? Sometimes the universe, works in interesting ways to bring you something new, to bring you a complete sea change. That's what I'm seeing here for a lot of you, is that we may have never expected what is going to come for our lives, but I do feel it's going to be greater for many people than what they had. So the Four of Cups. The Four of Wands is a beautiful card. It's a kind of a card of expect the unexpected, be open to opportunity and serendipitous moments this week. And that, the promise is that you will be in a greater chapter of stability and really celebrating life in the near future. You just need to release what needs to be released and detach from the past and just make those wishes on that star. Okay, Virgo, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Do keep in mind it's a general reading, so it won't be for every one of you guys. Feel free to leave me a comment, because I always love to know how it's playing out in your daily life and who it resonates for. And I'll see you back here next week for another reading.